Beloved, there is a divine investment that never fails, and it is the investment of faith, spoken word, and unwavering trust in the law of God. Many people toil, they struggle, they hoard, fearing loss, but all the while they forget the great truth. God is your unfailing banker, and the riches of the universe are yours by divine right. When you plant a seed of faith with your words, you are investing in the infinite bank of spirit. And unlike earthly banks that can collapse, this bank never fails, never withholds, and never delays. Every word you speak is a deposit, every affirmation a currency, every prayer a check drawn upon the limitless supply of the universe. Say within yourself now, God is my supply. Divine substance flows to me in ever-increasing measure. I invest in faith, and my returns are multiplied without end. The divine law is exact. When you declare your good, when you align with the truth of abundance, you set in motion unseen forces that gather, multiply, and bring back to you pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Never say, I can't afford this, or money is scarce. That is withdrawing your investment. That is bankruptcy in the spiritual world. Instead, affirm, every dollar I spend returns to me multiplied. I am backed by the bank of heaven, and its vaults are endless. You cannot outgive God. The more you invest with faith and generosity, the greater your harvest. The farmer who plants one seed does not expect one seed in return, but a field overflowing. So it is with your money. When blessed, when spoken over with truth, when given in the spirit of love, it returns to you multiplied beyond measure. Remember this. The divine investment carries no risk. Fear is the only thief. Cast out fear and affirm the truth, for faith is the only security. Faith is the spiritual currency that cannot be counterfeited. Therefore, walk boldly into your abundance. See money, not as a master, but as a servant of spirit. Bless it, release it, call it back multiplied. Say daily, the divine investment multiplies my money. Every dollar I give, every word I speak, every act of faith is returned to me 1,000-fold. And so it is. Faith is your greatest currency, the unseen wealth that never loses its value and never fails in its return. All the gold in the world may rise and fall, banks may open and collapse, investments may gain and vanish, yet faith remains steadfast, eternal, and indestructible. When you have faith, you hold in your hand the golden key to every vault of supply. Faith is not something you strive for. It is a spiritual law. It is the assurance that God is your banker, your backer, your unfailing source, and that divine substance is already prepared for you in abundance, awaiting only your recognition. When you speak words of faith, you are not merely uttering sounds, you are making deposits into the great bank of the Spirit. Each declaration of good is a coin of pure gold, indestructible, and ever-expanding. A man may invest in land, but the land may wither. He may invest in stocks, but they may crash. He may invest in savings, but even they can dwindle. But when a man invests in faith, he touches the eternal and calls forth supply that cannot be taken away. For faith is the spiritual currency of heaven, and its yield is multiplication without end. Many people speak the language of poverty. They say, money is hard to come by. Opportunities are scarce. Times are difficult. And what happens? They have made a deposit of lack into their account, and the law must return it multiplied. Yet the one who speaks in faith says, God is my instant and constant supply. I cannot be without. I cannot be limited. Money comes to me from expected and unexpected sources, for I live under grace and not under law. This one has written a check upon heaven, and heaven always honors its checks. It never fails. Every time you affirm the truth, you are putting your faith into circulation. Just as money in the pocket does no good unless it is spent, so faith unspoken, unused, remains dormant. The rich man who buries his treasure finds no increase, but the one who spends faith lavishly, who dares to declare the impossible, who blesses his circumstances, even when appearances seem barren, that one reaps the greatest harvest. For faith is the seed that blossoms into miracles, and the soil of spirit never fails to bear fruit. It is not the size of your earthly bank account that determines your wealth, but the size of your faith account. A man with little money, but great faith is rich beyond measure, while a man with much money, but no faith lives in constant fear of loss. Faith frees you from fear, for it anchors you to the truth that your supply is divine, secure, and endless. The faith-filled soul walks in confidence, knowing that every need is met, every bill is paid, every debt dissolved, for he lives by the currency of heaven. Say within yourself, faith is my wealth. I am rich in faith, and therefore I am rich in supply. God is my unfailing banker, and I draw upon his abundance with every word I speak. When you affirm this, you place yourself in alignment with divine law, and that law rushes to fulfill itself in your affairs. The outer world cannot resist the command of faith. Doors open, opportunities appear, channels flow, and what was once considered impossible becomes natural and easy. You must guard your speech, as you would guard your fortune, for careless words are like counterfeit currency. They bring only loss and disappointment. When you say, I am always broke, I never get ahead, you have spent the currency of doubt, and it must return according to the law. But when you boldly declare, I am prosperous, I am supplied, I am wealthy by divine right, you have spent the currency of faith, and the return is inevitable. The universe is exact, it keeps perfect books. Whatever you invest in faith comes back multiplied. Whatever you spend in fear diminishes. Faith is not limited by logic, it is not confined by appearances. To the rational mind, a barren field looks empty. To the eye of faith, it is already filled with a harvest. To the fearful man, a small purse looks insufficient. To the faithful man, that same purse is connected to an endless stream of supply. Faith does not reason, it knows. Faith does not question, it affirms. Faith does not fear, it rejoices. And because faith rejoices, it multiplies. So if you would be truly rich, you must invest in faith above all else. Make daily deposits with your words. Speak only increase, only abundance, only supply. Let no word of lack cross your lips. Every time you are tempted to say, I cannot afford it, replace it with, I am abundantly supplied. God's wealth flows freely into my hands. Every time you are tempted to worry, declare, I fear nothing, for my faith is my fortune. In this way, you build a fortune that no thief can steal, no moth can corrupt, no fire can destroy. Faith is your greatest currency, and with it you purchase every good thing. When faith is your investment, your wealth cannot fail, for it is secured in heaven. And as you spend your faith lavishly, you will find that life becomes a banquet table, spread with every form of good, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Every word you speak is a deposit in the great bank of the Spirit. You may not see the vaults of this bank with your physical eyes, yet they are as real as the air you breathe, and they hold the limitless wealth of God. With every affirmation of truth, you write a check upon this bank, and unlike earthly institutions, this account can never be overdrawn, never be closed, and never be exhausted. Your words are the currency, and the law of the Spirit is the cashier that must honor each deposit and each withdrawal, according to the nature of your speech. Many people speak carelessly, not realizing that their idle words are seeds cast into fertile soil. They murmur of lack, and lack comes to them. They complain of debts, and debts multiply. They declare that life is hard, and it becomes so. They do not understand that every word is creative, every word is a decree, and every word returns to the one who spoke it, bearing fruit after its kind. It is as though they walk into the great bank of the Spirit and deposit counterfeit notes of fear and limitation, and then are surprised when life returns them poverty and disappointment. The law is exact, and it cannot be mocked. But the one who watches his words as a banker watches gold, becomes rich beyond measure. He knows that each affirmation of abundance, each declaration of health, each blessing spoken over money and circumstance, is a radiant coin placed into his heavenly account. He understands that his words must go forth and accomplish the thing whereto he sends them. He speaks deliberately, he speaks boldly, and he speaks in faith, knowing that heaven always honors its checks. You must learn to treat your words as treasure, for indeed they are. The tongue can bankrupt a man or enrich him. With it he can bind himself to endless debt, or with it he can set in motion a tide of supply that nothing can withstand. Your word is your wand, and with it you may call forth money, opportunities, health, friends, and every good thing. But the wand must be used rightly. A magician who does not understand his wand may bring chaos. So too does careless speech bring chaos to a man's affairs. Speak only increase, and you will see only increase. Consider this truth: when you say, money flows to me now in miraculous ways, you have made a deposit of prosperity. When you declare, I live in abundance, and all my needs are met instantly and perfectly, you have written a check that will be honored without fail. When you bless the money in your hand and say, "This is divine substance, and it grows and multiplies in my possession," you have placed spiritual currency in circulation that must return to you with interest. Nothing can stop it, for it is the law. On the other hand, if you say, "I never have enough," you have deposited lack, and the law must multiply it. If you say, "I can't pay my bills," you have written a check of insufficiency, and the cashier of the Spirit will bring you more of the same. The law does not judge, it does not reason, it does not argue, it simply fulfills. Therefore your every word is sacred, for your every word is a command to the unseen forces that shape your life. It is not enough to speak once and then doubt. You must make consistent deposits of truth, until your account overflows. Just as a man who saves diligently finds his wealth growing, so too does the one who speaks abundance daily see his affairs prosper. The universe keeps perfect books. It records every affirmation, every declaration, every blessing, and returns them to you multiplied. Your task is only to keep depositing faith-filled words, and the harvest cannot fail. Say now within yourself, "My words are treasures. I speak increase, I speak abundance, I speak supply, and all that I decree is established in my life." This simple practice, if done faithfully, will transform your circumstances beyond recognition. For when your speech is aligned with divine truth, the whole universe rushes to confirm it. Opportunities you never imagined will appear. Doors you thought closed will swing wide, and money will come from channels seen and unseen. Remember, your words are not idle sounds. They are creative decrees, alive with the power of spirit. Every time you bless, you invest. Every time you affirm, you enrich. Every time you speak truth, you draw upon the endless account of God. There is no delay in spirit, no shortage, no resistance. The moment you speak in faith, the law begins to act. You may not see the full return at once, but know that your deposit has been received, and its multiplication is already in motion. Therefore, guard your tongue, as a wise man guards his fortune. Never squander words on fear. Never waste speech on complaint. Never invest in doubt. Let every word be a jewel, polished and radiant, carrying with it the vibration of abundance. For as surely as a seed brings forth a harvest, so too does every word return to you multiplied. Your life today is the sum of the words you have spoken. Your life tomorrow will be the sum of the words you speak today. So begin now to speak only increase. Let your every word be a deposit in the bank of the Spirit. Say, "I am wealthy by divine right. My words are creative. My words are powerful. My words draw supply from the infinite. Every word I speak enriches me, and returns multiplied." Speak this with conviction, and watch as the great cashier of heaven honors your words, and fills your life with overflowing abundance. Money obeys the law of blessing. Whatever you bless increases, and whatever you condemn diminishes. This is the simple but profound law that governs all substance. When you look upon money with fear, resentment, or suspicion, you push it away. When you speak of it as evil, or as scarce, or as something you must chase, you close the very channels through which it longs to come to you. But when you bless money, when you see it as divine substance, when you call it good and recognize it as God in action, you magnetize it, and it flows to you in ever-increasing measure. The world has taught many to despise money, to say it is the root of evil, or to feel guilty for desiring it. Yet the truth is that money is but a symbol, a servant of spirit, carrying the vibration of supply. It is neither good nor evil in itself. It takes on the quality you give it with your thought and your word. To the fearful, it becomes a master that enslaves. To the faithful, it becomes a tool that multiplies blessings. It obeys the law of your consciousness. It comes when it is welcomed, and it flees when it is cursed. I have often told my students to bless everything that comes into their hands, whether it be a single coin or a large sum. For blessing sets in motion the law of increase. Say over your money, "I bless you, you are God in action. You multiply and return to me 1,000-fold." Do not despise the small beginnings. If only $1 comes to you, bless it as though it were a fortune, and soon you will hold a fortune in your hand. For the small is the seed of the great, and the way you treat the seed determines the harvest. Many people curse their bills, they dread the sight of them, they call them burdens, and so their bills multiply, and they struggle continually. Yet I say to you, bless your bills, see them as proof that you have been trusted with supply. Say, "I bless this bill, it is already paid in full by divine right. The money to meet it comes to me freely and abundantly." You will be astonished to see how quickly supply appears when you bless what once you feared. for blessing transforms every appearance of lack into a channel of increase. You may test this law in the smallest of ways. Take the money in your purse, however little it may seem, and hold it in your hand. Speak over it with conviction. I bless this money. It is divine substance, and it grows and multiplies in my possession. It returns to me increased, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Then watch how quickly opportunities open, gifts appear, unexpected income arrives. The law is exact, and money, like all substance, must obey the word of blessing. You cannot bless money and remain in want, for the blessing carries a magnetic power. It is as though you send forth a vibration that calls back to itself every form of supply. Fear scatters, blessing gathers. Resentment closes the hand, blessing opens it. Poverty consciousness curses money without realizing it, while abundance consciousness blesses it and watches it grow. If you would be rich, you must love money rightly, not with grasping or hoarding, but with gratitude and blessing. When money comes to you, bless it. When money goes out from you, bless it again. Say, every dollar I spend blesses and prospers the one who receives it, and it returns to me multiplied. In this way you set your money in circulation under grace, and like a well-planted seed, it comes back as a multiplied harvest. The one who hoards money in fear shuts off the flow, but the one who blesses money in faith keeps the channels open, and abundance never ceases. Do not envy the wealth of another, for envy is a curse, and what you curse cannot come to you. Instead, bless the wealth you see around you. When you pass by a beautiful home, bless it and say, blessings on this abundance, and blessings of abundance come to me. When you see another prospering, say, what God has done for one, He does for all, and that includes me. In blessing others, you open the way for your own blessings, for nothing you give in spirit is ever lost. So train your tongue to speak blessing at all times. When you handle money, bless it. When you think of money, bless it. When you send it forth, bless it. Let no word of fear, lack, or condemnation escape your lips. Remember always, money obeys the law of blessing. The more you bless it, the more it blesses you, for your word is law to it, and it must return to you in kind. If you desire your money to multiply, stop chasing it, stop fearing it, stop condemning it. Begin this very day to bless it in every form. Say, I bless the money I have. I bless the money that comes to me. I bless the money that goes from me. It all circulates under grace, and it returns to me increased beyond measure. As you hold to this truth, you will find your affairs transformed, your lack dissolved, and your supply overflowing. The law is simple, what you bless increases. And since money obeys this law, your fortune lies in your words. Bless it faithfully, and it will return to you multiplied, carrying with it the unmistakable mark of divine increase. You cannot outgive God, for generosity is the golden key that unlocks the vaults of heaven. The universe holds nothing back from the soul that gives freely, joyfully, and without fear. Every act of generosity is a seed planted in the fertile soil of spirit, and that seed must return a harvest multiplied beyond measure. When you release money with love, you are not losing, you are circulating, and what you circulate flows back to you with interest. Money, like blood, must circulate to bring life. When it is hoarded in fear, it stagnates. When it is released in faith, it grows and multiplies. The fearful soul clings tightly to what little he has, saying, if I give, I will have nothing left. But he does not realize that by holding on he dams the river of supply. His clenched hand cannot receive, for it is too busy grasping. Yet the generous soul opens his hand wide, releasing with joy, and immediately the river flows back to him in double measure. The open hand is always filled, for the universe abhors a vacuum, and where something is released, more must rush in to fill it. Generosity is not measured by the amount given, but by the spirit in which it is given. A single coin, released with faith and blessing, carries more power than $1,000 given in fear or resentment. For it is not the money that multiplies, but the consciousness behind it. When you give, bless your gift and say, this money is a divine seed. It blesses the one who receives it, and it returns to me a multiplied harvest. Then forget it, for the law has already begun its work. You have sown in spirit, and the harvest is certain. The world teaches men to hoard, to grasp, to secure themselves against loss. But the divine law says, give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. To give is to acknowledge that you are one with the limitless supply of God, that you cannot run out, that you cannot be diminished. To give is to declare your freedom from fear. Each act of generosity is a statement to the universe. I live under grace, not under limitation, and the universe answers back with increase. I have often told my students that when they feel lack pressing upon them, the quickest way to dissolve it is to give. Fear will say, hold back, conserve, keep what you have. But faith says, release it, and it will return multiply. Many times I have seen those in desperate straits give their last coin in faith, and almost immediately, doors of supply opened in miraculous ways. For generosity is the proof of trust, and when you trust, you align with the inexhaustible abundance of God. Do not give grudgingly, for reluctant giving carries no power. Give with joy, with expectation, with love. See your money as a messenger carrying blessing into the world, and know that it will not return empty-handed. Give to bless, not to impress. Give with simplicity, not with calculation. And always, always bless the gift, bless the one who receives, and bless the harvest that is already on its way back to you. When you are guided to give, obey instantly. The inner prompting of spirit is never mistaken. It may tell you to give to a person, to a cause, to an opportunity. Do not argue, do not hesitate, do not say, I cannot afford it. For every true prompting to give carries within it the provision for your increase. The very act of obedience opens the door for supply to rush in. To delay is to block the channel. To obey is to open it wide. Remember, God is the giver and God is the source. You are but the channel through which His riches flow. If you close the channel by withholding, the flow diminishes. If you keep the channel open by giving, the flow increases. You cannot impoverish yourself by giving, for you are drawing from an inexhaustible well. The more you draw, the more is revealed. The more you pour out, the more is poured in. Therefore live in the spirit of generosity. Bless your giving, bless your spending, bless every act of release. Say, I give freely and fearlessly, and it returns to me multiplied in miraculous ways. Hold this attitude, and you will see your supply expand beyond all reason. You will become a center of circulation, a channel of blessing, a magnet for wealth. People will be drawn to you, opportunities will seek you, and money will flow to you, because you have aligned with the divine law of giving. The vaults of heaven are waiting to be opened, and the key is generosity. Use it daily, joyfully, and without fear. Give, and watch as life gives back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You will find yourself walking in abundance so rich, so effortless, that you will know beyond all doubt that you are dealing with the infinite, and that you can never outgive God. Fear is spiritual bankruptcy. Just as in the world of finance, a man may have all the appearance of wealth, yet be bankrupt when his debts are called in. So in the world of spirit, a man may hold money in his hand, but if fear rules him, he is already poor. Fear cuts the current of supply. It freezes the channels, closes the doors, and blocks the flow. Faith draws riches, but fear repels them. Fear is the declaration that God cannot provide, that the universe is not abundant, that loss is stronger than supply. And when a man entertains such a thought, he signs his own notice of spiritual insolvency. You may have observed how fear manifests itself in people's affairs. The fearful man hoards, for he does not trust the law of circulation. He says, I cannot give, I may not have enough tomorrow. And because he fears, tomorrow indeed brings him lack. He says, I cannot afford this, and so he never can. His words are investments of fear, and they return to him multiplied. Just as surely as words of faith return multiplied blessings. Fear is a currency too, but it buys only loss and limitation. The man of faith, though his purse may be light, speaks with confidence. God is my supply, and all my needs are met instantly and abundantly. He fears nothing, for he knows the vaults of heaven are behind him. And soon enough, money comes, opportunities open, channels appear. For he has invested in faith, and the law must honor his deposits. But the fearful one draws checks on an empty account. He says, I shall fail, and failure arrives. He says, I always lose, and loss greets him at every turn. Fear is bankruptcy of the spirit, and no earthly riches can cover its deficit. I have often seen men of great possessions live in misery, enslaved to fear. They count their wealth with trembling, dreading its loss. Their riches give them no freedom, no joy, for fear has bankrupted their soul. Meanwhile, I have known those of modest means who live joyfully, fearlessly, declaring their abundance daily, and their affairs unfolded with continual increase. For it is not money that makes wealth, but consciousness. To be rich in faith is to be secure forever. To be ruled by fear is to be bankrupt, no matter the balance in the bank. The cure for fear is always the same: speak the truth boldly, until fear flees. Fear cannot stand before the spoken word of faith. When you are tempted to say, "I cannot afford it," replace it with, "God is my unfailing supply, and I am abundantly provided for." When fear whispers, "What if money runs out?" answer, "God's supply is endless, and it flows to me now." Do not allow fear to dictate your speech, for every word you utter is a seed, and fear-planted seeds will only bring a barren harvest. Fear is subtle. It creeps into the thoughts disguised as caution, as prudence, as wisdom. It says, "Save everything, spend nothing, give nothing." But wisdom without faith is bondage. True wisdom says, "I am guided by spirit. I give when I am guided to give. I spend fearlessly when I am guided to spend, and I trust that supply is always there." Faith is freedom. Fear is chains. Choose always the path of freedom. Consider how a farmer works the soil. If he fears drought, if he says, "I will not plant for the rain may not come," then his fields remain empty, and he has nothing at the harvest. His fear has bankrupted him before the season has even begun. But the farmer of faith plants his seed in the earth, blessing it, declaring, "The rains come, the sun shines, the harvest is abundant." He works in trust, and his faith is rewarded. So it is with money. Fear keeps the seed unplanted. Faith sows it, and the harvest comes in abundance. Do not allow fear to hold you back from giving, from investing, from living boldly. The fearful soul misses opportunities, closes doors, and stays small. He says, "It is too risky, I must wait." And while he waits, life passes him by. But the fearless soul steps forward in faith, declaring, "The universe backs me, God is my partner, and supply is assured." And supply comes, for the law cannot fail. Say within yourself, "I banish fear. I am rich in faith, and therefore I am rich in supply. I live by faith, not by appearances. I trust in the limitless abundance of God, and I am safe." Repeat this until fear loses its grip. Every time you conquer fear with faith, you deposit wealth into your spiritual account. Every time you yield to fear, you withdraw. And if you persist in fear, you bankrupt yourself entirely. Therefore, let fear have no place in your affairs. Replace it with faith at every turn. Know that you are backed by the greatest banker in the universe, and his supply cannot run dry. To live in fear is to live as though you are bankrupt. To live in faith is to live in endless abundance. And when you live in endless abundance, you cannot help but see your wealth multiply. For faith is the true currency, and with it you may purchase every good thing. Unlike earthly investments, the divine investment carries no risk, for it is backed by the inexhaustible supply of God. When you place your trust in banks, in markets, in the shifting sands of human institutions, you must live in uncertainty, for their rise and fall is inevitable. But when you invest in spirit through faith, affirmation, generosity, and blessing, your return is guaranteed, for the laws of God are immutable and cannot fail. The divine investment is multiplication itself. It is the promise that every seed sown in faith returns to you multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Men of the world look for security in the outer, in possessions, in savings, in contracts. Yet even the strongest vault can be broken, the largest fortune lost, the most careful plan overturned. But the man who invests in the divine law cannot be shaken, for his wealth is rooted in the unseen, where moth and rust cannot corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. His riches are invisible, yet they are more real than gold, for they are the substance out of which all gold is formed. The divine investment begins with your thought, your word, and your faith. Every affirmation of abundance is a seed planted in the infinite soil of spirit. Every act of generosity is a deposit in the heavenly account. Every blessing spoken over money, over bills, over circumstances, is a check written upon God's limitless bank, and these investments never fail, never diminish, never vanish. They must return, for the law of multiplication is certain. Just as surely as the sun rises, the harvest follows the sowing. When you say, "I am wealthy by divine right, my money grows and multiplies under grace," I am prosperous, supplied, and enriched in every way. You have invested in the truth, and the return is already in motion. Perhaps it comes as unexpected income, as gifts, as opportunities, as sudden clearings of debt, as doors opening where you saw none. The form may vary, but the principle is the same. Spirit honors every investment of faith with multiplication. This law holds whether you believe it or not, whether you understand it or not, whether you watch for it or not. If you invest in fear, in lack, in doubt, those too will return multiplied. The man who constantly says, "I never have enough," will indeed never have enough, for he has sown insufficiency, and the law must honor his seed. But the one who says, "Money flows to me now in miraculous ways. I live in endless abundance," will find abundance rushing to meet him, for he has invested in plenty. The law is impartial, it returns exactly what you sow. Therefore, you must be deliberate in your investments. Guard your thoughts as treasure, guard your words as currency, guard your actions as seeds. Spend only in faith, sow only in truth, speak only in abundance. Then you will see the inevitable multiplication of your good. Do not worry about the means, for Spirit has infinite channels. Do not fret about the time, for Spirit works swiftly, often in ways you least expect. Your task is only to sow rightly, to invest faithfully, and the harvest is assured. Think of a small coin. In the hand of fear, it is nothing, and it remains small. In the hand of faith, it is a seed, and the moment it is blessed and released, it multiplies. The farmer who sows one seed does not reap one seed in return. He reaps a field of harvest. So it is with your words, your gifts, your affirmations. They are not lost, they are not diminished, they are planted, and they return multiplied. Every investment in Spirit carries a divine guarantee: increase, expansion, and overflow. When you live by this law, your life becomes secure, not because you are insulated from change, but because you are aligned with the unchangeable. The markets may rise and fall, but your wealth rises steadily. Circumstances may shift, but your supply flows continually. Others may fear loss, but you know there is no loss in Spirit. You cannot outgive God, you cannot outsow the infinite, you cannot bankrupt heaven. The vaults of God are endless, and every investment you make in faith is underwritten by the whole of the universe. Say within yourself, "Every word I speak in faith is an investment in abundance. Every act of generosity is a deposit in the bank of heaven. Every blessing I give multiplies and returns to me, pressed down and running over. I cannot fail, for I invest in the divine, and the divine never fails." Hold to this truth, and you will walk through life fearless, prosperous, and secure. You will see your money multiply, your opportunities expand, your supply flow in miraculous ways. For the divine investment is not like the investments of men. It does not depend upon markets, it does not depend upon chance, it does not depend upon the shifting world. It depends only upon the eternal law of God, the law that what you sow, you must reap, and what you give must return multiplied. This is the truth that frees you from fear, lifts you out of limitation, and sets you in the stream of endless supply. Beloved, the divine investment never fails. You have learned that faith is your greatest currency, that every word you speak is a deposit in the great bank of the Spirit, that money itself obeys the law of blessing, that generosity opens the very vaults of heaven, that fear is bankruptcy of the soul, and that the divine investment guarantees multiplication without end. These are not theories, nor distant promises, but eternal laws that work for all who dare to live by them. So I say to you now, walk boldly in faith, speak only words of increase, bless your money, bless your giving, bless every circumstance in your life. Release fear and embrace generosity, for you cannot outgive God, and you cannot outsow the infinite. Let your every thought, word, and act be an investment in Spirit, and watch as your wealth multiplies, your debts dissolve, your doors open, and your supply flows without interruption. Say within yourself, "Daily I am backed by the bank of heaven, my words are seeds of abundance, my giving returns multiplied. I fear nothing, for God is my supply, and His riches are mine by divine right." Hold to this truth, and you will see miracles unfold where once you saw lack. For the law is exact, and the promise is sure: what you invest in God returns to you multiplied. You live under grace, not under law, and grace knows no limit, no shortage, no failure. Therefore go forth in faith, invest in the infinite, and reap the harvest of endless abundance. And so it is.